stuck here. The cops won't bother me.
Man, on board this bike, you can just feel that power. And I'm not even going fast, but it feels really powerful. I did charge the battery overnight, and it seems to be holding fairly well, but the position of this bike is just so comfortable. The wind protection is so good. And I have the windscreen at the lowest possible setting, but this bike is just so fast that it feels like I'm going so slow. It's an extremely interesting bike, and I wanted to just kind of fill up and see how many miles I can do today. You know, one thing I don't like about the FJR right off the bat is that it feels extremely heavy at low speeds. I mean, I can handle it fine, but it's just a extremely heavy bike, and at low speeds, making like very small movements. It is a bike that requires a little bit more finesse, and the turning is a little bit, it's so heavy at like slow speeds like this, like going around a parking lot. You know, one of the things that annoys me about this bike is when I put my feet down, I hit this chunk of plastic here on the sides. Now, riding in the winter on one of these bikes is great because the wind protection is so good. And with the motorized windscreen that this has, let me show you. Look at that. That is clever. And I can adjust it in such a way while I'm riding that I can remove all the wind buffeting my head. So that's quite an amazing thing. It's just so fast. There's no way cars can beat you. It is just so powerful and so comfortable. It's like powerful and comfortable at the same time. The red line is at 9,000, but it goes all the way to 11, and that's a 1300cc bike. So the one thing, even though I took the NC through here just yesterday, it's so funny that this bike is so much more comfortable than the NC in these big pothole infested back roads. And the only reason is that the wheelbase, I believe, is a lot longer on this, and it feels much more comfortable. But it's a lot more work to throw this into the corners than the NC. I really like the NC's handlebars because one good thing about the adventure market, those bikes are some of the easiest bikes to ride. Holy cow, holy shit, this thing is fast. Wow. Man, I don't want to like go too fast, but man, this thing is fast. But I'm just kind of like getting to know the bike, so I don't want to push it, of course. Not deny the torque and power of this bike. It is incredible, and it feels so good. This inline 4 engine feels so good. I mean, I am going way too fast. I'm going like 60 miles an hour on a 40, so on a 30, so I'm going way too fast. I'm gonna slow down here, guys. I don't know why it's behaving so weirdly. I'm just not used to these sport touring bikes. You know, I did ride the ST quite well from what I thought. Man, it just feels really weird in the corners. Jesus. This thing will wheelie like a madman. This bike is not meant for these roads. If it doesn't have a painted line, it's just they're usually rougher, but this bike likes high-speed roads like this. Holy cow, I have to be careful. But I don't like the way it handles. I prefer the adventure bike handling. The adventure bikes handle much easier. It requires less input from the rider, and I kind of like that. I like to be able to kind of toss it into corners a little bit easier. So it was around here last year that I was just riding, and I ran into a tornado on the V-Strom. I seriously almost died. I think now that I'm riding it, it's just a different style. It's almost like you're steering with the rear, and I'm getting used to it already. And I do remember like riding the FJR1300, it was the same sort of style. It's such a large bike, but once it moves, it feels like you control it with the throttle and the rear wheel. And that's what I'm doing. It's just you gotta make sure you're in the right gear and just kind of like power through. But this bike does not like to go slow. Holy cow, this thing. I am just worried that there's gonna be cops all over here. So that's the FJR. I'm like riding around, it's warming up quite a bit, and in a way warming up on an FJR is kind of a bad idea because I'm getting way too hot. But this bike is extremely fascinating because it's so goddamn fast. I mean, it's got its downsides, you know, the battery being here is kind of more of an annoyance than anything. It's also got a cruise control here. I think it's a throttle micer or whatever. But the integrated luggage, I mean, this bike looks great with the integrated luggage. I do have some work to do on it, but it's got some major benefits. The gear, the shaft drive is incredible, and it's comfortable, powerful. The oil filter, I mean, it's right there, the oil filter, look at that. It's incredible. It's got a center stand, but you know, it's got a lot of plastic. It's got a lot of weird plastic, and it's got an electronic button here, so that's fascinating too. If you're riding around town in DC, I mean, I've commuted with the FJR1300 and FJR1100 to DC for years, and you know, I got through it, but it was overkill. You know, like commuting on the FJR1300 was more of a pain because like it was so hot, and I imagine this bike is going to be as hot because the wind protection on it is just so good. It is, I mean, this thing will give sport bikes a run for the money. I've heard of a lot of guys on ST or on FJRs that ride as fast as a sport bike. Oh man, this bike is almost torturous. It's so comfortable, like you just kind of feel like you want to go fast. What are you doing, man? Look over here. When I look at these guys and they're just looking to the right and not looking to the left, it's very concerning. I mean, this bike is just so smooth in any gear. This bike just moves. You twist the throttle. I mean, I could wheelie off of that hump if I wanted. Jesus Christ, this thing is just an incredible powerhouse, man. I am already pretty far from my house, and it feels like I haven't moved because this bike is just so comfortable. Such a comfortable bike that I feel like I have not gone anywhere. It's like my body doesn't hurt, there's like nothing that's sore. On an adventure touring bike, I get on it and I can ride it as well from bike to bike, and that's because I'm used to that position. But as soon as you get a different position, such as the FJR, it feels like you're learning from zero again. Whoa! Holy cow, this thing, no time at all getting up to 80 miles an hour. Oh man, this thing, holy shit, this thing is just so fast. I went from like 40 to 80 in no time. Alright, let's get off the highway here. I'm gonna go south. I mean, that was incredible. The highway legs of this bike are, this is the best highway bike I've had the opportunity to ride. The rider position to the windscreen is so far ahead. The V-Strom I had, it was actually a little bit further ahead too, but like a little bit less, like over here. And to like mess with the clock here, you have to lean in quite a bit. The NC, in a lot of adventure bikes, everything is a little bit up close, which I kind of like. But having the this so far, I mean, like I have to lean in pretty far to like do anything. Man, this bike is so fast. No matter what speed I go, I twist the throttle, it's like a kick. And of course, with power comes responsibility. Lots of tires, lots of rear tires you're going to be going through. 5,000 miles, boom, another rear tire. God damn, this thing is so fast. These are the type of roads you want to be on this bike. These are the smallest roads you want to be on. You don't want to be on smaller roads than this. But the problem is that cops patrol this area. Cops patrol these roads like goddamn rats. These are back roads you should not do on the FJR. So this bike doesn't do well in roads that are a little bit bigger. I mean, you have so much power on this bike, and that like you're almost struggling too much with this, and you have to keep your gear down quite a bit in order to kind of go through. I just don't enjoy big bikes in these roads. I used to do wheelies over this hump here. Oh man, I can definitely do wheelies over that bump. Yeah, this is a very different bike than I'm used to. Very smooth power. Very smooth power, like a lot of torque. It's kind of nutty, man. Like you go from the NC that's like so sedate to this, and it feels like you're just stepping into like a spaceship that's like taking you all the way to Mars. Alright squids, thanks for riding with me. I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Kinda stuck here. The cops won't bother me.